Hi there my awesome friends, welcome back to the Taper Tag Challenge. Today we're going to be using texture paste. This is a tag that I've already completed for you to see, and it really is different. So for those ladies that don't have die cuts or laser stickers or anything else, if you've got a stencil and some texture paste, you can have a lot of fun making some tags. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm not going to show you how to use texture paste in a stencil because there are thousands of videos on that. But what I will do is tell you how I made my texture paste. So I used a little bit of Acroweld adhesive, but you can use any craft glue, wood glue, and I used a little bit of plaster of Paris in mine to give it this nice texture. But you can use baby powder or cornstarch, maizena, and you can make texture paste of your own. You don't have to go and buy texture paste. I stenciled this and left it overnight so that it's nice and dry, and today we're going to play. So these two I have partially techniqued for you already, just to save time, and I know how boring it is for you to watch. So before I start with the plain one, I'm going to quickly ink them for you so they can dry in the meantime. Quick. Inking them with the fat Sharpie, remember? And we'll let that dry a bit. There you go. Okay, put that on the side, and then this one. So yes, go and raid your kitchen cupboard for some corn flour, your bathroom cupboard for some baby powder, or your craft cupboard if you've got some texture paste, and grab a stencil or two. And if you don't have a stencil, you can use a die cut. It's a little bit messy, but you can use a die cut. Okay, there we go. Righty, so here's my tag that we're going to do today for the class. As usual, I have crumpled my tape, and I'm using the 20 centimeter wide tape, but really you can use your 48 millimeter wide tape. Just want you to know that I used that for solidly for more than 4 years before I moved on to using the wide tape. So don't rush out and buy things that you don't really need. But you do get spoiled once you've used the wide tape because there's no joins. Trim that off and trim the top here. And put that aside for another project. Fold it over, and here we go. On the wrong side of the tag, you can smooth it down nicely with your card, but on the side where you've got your texture paste, beware of using your credit card because the texture paste can be rough and tear through your tape. So I prefer not to use the credit card when I'm using the texture paste because I don't want to tear my tape. Obviously, if you're using the patchwork tape technique, it doesn't really matter. But on this, I'm using a solid piece of tape, so I really don't want my tape to tear. Smooth it down really well with your paper pencil or paper stump. Make sure you go around all the little nooks and crannies and edges so that they are smoothed really well. And this is probably the most important step when using texture paste, is really make sure that you use your paper stump properly. I'll lift it up for you to see now. Around all the little areas, make sure it is smooth, and you can actually see here it isn't. Work it a bit more. Okay. You have a look there. Another area that I can see that's not smooth is over there. Okay, make sure there's no little bubbles around the edges. Okie dokie, so we finished with that. I'm quickly going to trim the edges of my tag. Here we go. And then the corners. And my light is a little bit dull. I must say the winter sunlight is really quite soft compared to the summer sunlight. So I'm struggling a bit with my light. And I didn't cut that very well. I'm going to trim it with the scissors. There you go. Okay, nicely trimmed. And using your tool, you go around and outline all your areas. Take your time, and if you feel like you are hooking an area, just be very careful not to force it. You don't want to tear or hook your tape. So here we go. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole thing because I'm sure that will be boring for you. We'll do a portion. I want to show you a few tricks using the texture paste. Okay, as you can see, I have gone around those few items there. And now using your tool and a smallish ball, scribble over the surface of where your texture is. Especially if you're using the rough paste like I am using. It's got little bumps like grainy, and I want my ink to stick really well there. If your texture paste is very smooth, you can draw patterns, but it does help to actually work on top of the paste a little bit. And if you like, you can also work your background. Okay. I'm going to just do a few of these for you and then ink them up and show you the difference. And here. There we go. Whoops. Slipping. And here. Okay. So I've scribbled on some of them, and part of them I haven't scribbled, and the other section I haven't techniqued at all. And I would like to just show you the difference. The texture paste is the different dimension and a lot of fun. And I'd really like to see what you can create with stencils and texture paste. There we go. I'm going to let that one dry for a moment. And in the meantime, whoops, I'm going to buff this one. Another thing you need to be very aware of is when you're using texture paste and it's rough, do not use your sanding buff because you will buff right through your tape. Remember, it's very thin, so I prefer to use the cloth. And please bear in mind that this Sharpie has been on overnight, and look how easy it is to wipe it off. So if you don't use the Sharpie, it is difficult to wipe off your permanent marker, and you need to be very careful then if you are using the sanding buff or sanding block. Okay, so here you can see on this tag that this section and this section and this section I scribbled on, and those two I didn't, and you can actually see the difference in where the ink is sticking. Okay, now we'll show you this one. I did the same thing on this tag for you. Once again, I'm not using the sanding block. Just give it a bit of elbow grease here to wipe it off. on this tag. So I want to just show you here that on the top swirl I didn't technique at all, and on the bottom swirl I did. And you can see the difference of how the ink is sticking. So it is really worth your while to technique everything. And remember, if you don't like what you've done, you can just go back and re-technique it and then re-ink it, and it will look great. So I'm doing that here, there, around the edges, and then I'm going to scribble on the top here because I want my tape to have lots of little indentations and scratches on it, because then my ink will stick better than it did before. So I do prefer to use a texture paste that's granular rather than the very smooth texture paste, for obvious reasons. The grains give some nice definition. There you go. And let's do that around the whole protector. Make a little thing there. Okay, so I've redone that, and then you re-ink it. Now, also just wanted to mention that a tag with a lot of blank background area really looks nice if you texture it. So let's see what kind of textures you create. And I'm literally inking only the area that I've reworked. I'm not re-inking the whole tag. And there you go. I'll let that dry a minute and then we can finish. So back to our original tag that we've just done. We're going to put a bit of elbow grease into this one and give it a wipe. And then you'll be able to see how lovely it came out. Okay. Now remember, there was a section that I didn't technique at all, and I'm going to show you close up the difference. Okay, let's just wipe that a bit more. Okay. Now, can you see the areas that I techniqued and the areas that I didn't? This area here has all been techniqued and scribbled on, and I've done nothing on that side. Can you see the difference? So what are we going to do again? Just rework and re-technique the area you haven't done or that you want to add more interest on. Oh, my hardy dolls are having a party again today. Okay, so I won't bore you redoing that again, but yeah, pull out your stencils, pull out your wood glue or your Acroweld and your maizena, and make yourself some texture paste, and let's see what you can do. And please share your tags on the Taper Tag group on Facebook. Don't forget to use the hashtag Taper Tag. Enjoy and have a lovely day.